You know what? I woke up this morning, it's late now, about to go to bed, and I woke up at 2 o'clock as normal, got up, like, I dragged myself out of bed, sat, did a load of work. The day before I hadn't been, like, napping properly, so I was, like, down on naps, and I was there and I'm working away, and I'm literally, like, closing my eyes as I'm sleeping. I'm working on, like, work, so I'm trying to, like, rush through a user story before I go back on Monday so it can just go straight into test. Mainly because we kind of said that we'd finished it and we'd forgotten about a big chunk of it, and now I'm just doing that big chunk now. To have an apple. Apples are really good for keeping you awake. Had an apple and I'm like, by 5 o'clock I'd like shut down work. I'm like, okay, right, we'll stop there, I'm getting a bit stuck. So, come back out of it, chilled for a little bit, went to bed, 30-minute nap, my alarm went off, and my eyes have never felt so heavy in my life. I felt like I've been drugged. And I literally didn't wake up till 9, and I woke up at 9 still absolutely knackered. And I was like, what is this? Laura was the same as well. It was like someone had drugged us. So today we have had a relatively fun day today. We were expecting to be a little bit busier, but Laura had an appointment cancelled at the opticians. So instead we went down to town in the morning. We got some new plates because one plate obviously broke in the microwave, and then we only have 4 of each plate, and we want 6 of each plate, so that you've got enough to like use a plate to defrost some meat on it or something, preferably not in the microwave so it doesn't shatter. We got one plate replaced, one plate replaced, and then bought 2 more, and then bought 2 of the other sides as well, and then came back here, and it's kind of just been a worky kind of day, to be honest with you. From there on, Laura's been doing work stuff, I've been doing work stuff. I'm pretty close to getting the validation in. I got the validation in on the back end and the API all nice. I've just got to do it on the MVC. But the view model's just like a mess, and I don't understand why. And I don't want to change it just because I don't like it. It has passed code review, which is like surprising, in my opinion. But the shape of it is really making it really fucking difficult to write the validators, because I need to know something from like 3 steps up and then dive down into it. And like view models are supposed to be flat to a certain extent. Literally, unless you need like a loop of something, then it shouldn't be a different, like it can just live on that object because it's just a view model. It doesn't need to be clever. And I've got a view model with a property on it. One of them is a double, another one is a property which then has a double inside that. And I'm like, why is that double not just on there? why I don't understand. I'm like, oh, it's a bit crazy, to be honest with you. But I think because of this weird requirement we have about like you set a toggle up here, and then based on that toggle, something inside this loop you'll use this value or this value. I'm going to need it. I don't think it's going to be easy. I think it's just the tests are just going to be ugly, because the test helpers aren't designed for it. For what I'm doing. But yeah, that's joy and fun to a certain extent. I myself a nap in the evening, which went alright. That's good. I'm now headed to bed now. Don't feel particularly tired, but we're bored, so go to bed. And I was going to say something else. I looked at the bread there and then reminded myself what it was, and then forgot it was. Instantaneous. Wake up early, do my morning programming session, should finish off this story in that time frame. I've just got to give up on trying to get the tests to look nice, I think. Which is a shame, but I don't want to just rewrite it all, which I basically have to because of the amount of like mappers and stuff that it'll be doing. I think, to be fair, with the mappers involved, it makes a bit of sense. Like a tiny bit of sense, but not much. I think you either keep the mappers happy or the validators happy, or you duplicate this toggle on every single object. Which maybe that's the solution, to be honest with you. Do it like that, because that's how the API is set up. But the UI, you can only, like, the API is designed to be a bit more fluid than the API is for obvious reasons. Like you can do a lot more on the API than you can on the UI. We restrict your inputs in a way that we don't for the back end. But well, apart from we actually then so the API is designed to be really like flexible and fluent, but the validation is built to restrict you to only do what the UI lets you do. So in theory, if we ever want the UI to be a bit more flexible, all we need to do is take away validation rules rather than change like the objects or anything like that, or change the API signatures and all that shit. I've done about like 7 or 8 hours on that project, which ain't great, but like I say, I should finish it in the morning. And tomorrow we're going to be out and about, getting exercise. I'm going swimming, I think. and going for a walk. So obviously I've been working on my work laptop, which is there. My Surface is there, and it's reminded me how good my battery life is on that Surface, because it just goes in like an hour. It's just dead. Also, something else that's reminded me is the Surface is a sealed computer. There's fans all around the top of the screen. So look at the top there, so pointing upwards, and then there's a little fan here that pushes air out as well. I know that this laptop gets hot because at work I can like put things, if I put things next to it on the left, that's where like the heat sink is, it keeps them warm for me, which is useful if I'm like put a mug there or something like that. But what I forgot about was that at the bottom. So I was like working on the carpet over there, and it got very hot. Sorted it all out, finished. There's some sloppy stuff going on in the view models, which should have got caught in code review, or not been written in the first place, I guess. But otherwise, we managed to get there. I've submitted the pull requests, cleaned it all up. I'll check later. I don't know, maybe if thingy is as sad as I am, he might have checked it before I go in on Monday. So otherwise I'll be able to check the PR on Monday. I've also spent, because I'm going for a nap in like half an hour, there's no point in me getting into anything significant. So I spent half an hour drafting up the release notes for this iteration, which is something we're going to try and do on an iteration by iteration basis. Previously we were just doing like a demo, but people who don't come to the demos don't know how much we've done. So we've got to release notes. So that's all drafted. I'm updating Visual Studio, then I'm going to give that laptop a nice good rest, and I'm going to shut it down for a change, because it's never ever shut down. So that should be good fun. That means on Monday now we should be able to just walk in. The thing that was in test Friday will leave test before 9 o'clock most likely. Rebase the code base, redeploy it, walk that through both code review and test, assuming it hasn't already been done, and then we'll be able to focus on starting things from the next sprint, which is what I'm going to be doing. We're going to be just diving through and getting a good old head start is my plan, because we've got Monday and Tuesday. The sprint starts on Wednesday, and we've got a demo Tuesday. So it's going to be pretty good, pretty hectic stuff. I spent like a fucking significant amount of time on this. I've not done any programming on my own project. I've just been doing it. I think I've done like 10 hours, but we got there. So we were actually a lot further off than we thought we were on this story. But also, we made some mistakes earlier on when we did the other two stories that this built upon. Right, I'll leave you to do your thing. I'm going to sort out my daily vlog video thing. This little... It's coming to say hello to us, look. Wandered out for a Sunday walk today. Tried to find like a way around a little park, but it was a bit muddy. And a bit empty, so we drove around to a different part of the park, which was like the other side of the river, and then we walked around there for a tiny little bit before coming back here and having some lunch. We've got the Sunday jobs to do. What I've discovered is the sleep that I find most difficult is the one at 5:30 on the weekend, because I always end up falling back to sleep at the end of that nap, and that's really bad. But I do skip my lunchtime nap, so you could potentially argue that it's a good idea, but having said that, it is way too long a nap, which is not good. But what can you do? Like I say, we then did all of the like Sunday jobs. Laura's working in there. I have been looking at a way of, if you've requested information, so you've requested a certain information of a certain type from the server, and the server goes, I have some information, but it's not what you asked for. Let's say you asked for a dog, and I'm like, I haven't got a dog, but I've got a cat. I'm going to say see other and then pass on this. But what I'm trying to do is figure out a way of changing the domain will always return just the object. It will return cat or it will return dog. It doesn't care what you're actually looking for. It just gives you what you asked for. So it's like, you asked for this idea, I'll give it you. The API is then, oh, you asked for something different to what you expected, so I'll give you a different result. So that's because GraphQL is going to sit on top of this. So what I need to do then is convert that cat into a dog reference. I'm like, how can I go about doing that? And I'm thinking I might actually be able to go about, I'm trying to figure out a way of doing it. So I either create some kind of factory by the looks of it, or I can derive the query result object from the reference object. I already have this reference object because somewhere else I'm like pulling out a reference to the object in a way. So I could just slap that on the query result. And in theory, if I make that the base class, then I'll always have the reference, no matter what the query result is. And then you can just, it's kind of always being told like how to get to it. That ain't a bad shout, is it? I don't think. Options are, I either make the domain care about what object it's doing, so as soon as, but then the domain needs to know too much information about like how it's accessed. I guess if I give it information about the reference thing, then it already knows how much it's accessed. God damn it. I'm going to ponder that while I go and cook some dinner. Got some stew to make, so that's my plan. Have proper rain, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first time I've had proper rain in a long time. It's normally just like a drizzle or a shower, you know? This is like fucking rain. Somehow I forgot to nap yesterday. I obviously deliberately missed my lunchtime nap, but then also missed my evening nap. And by 9:30 I was falling asleep. So I slept all the way through last night to try and revitalise myself. I have an event after work today as well. We've got like this business event stuff. It's like the entire company, and it's kind of like what we're going to be doing over the next year and all that kind of shit. So I'm going to miss my evening nap tonight, so I thought I'm going to just treat myself to a nice long sleep. The chances of me waking up at 2 are minuscule. Yeah, otherwise we're coming up to the end of the sprint. We are submitting the last thing in for test today. The last day is tomorrow, so I'm going to be like walking that through, and then otherwise having a bit of a jump start on the next sprint, which is going to be good fun. So yeah, it's going to be a fun day. It's going to be a fun day. It's going to be a bit strange. No shopping. It's a Monday, and I'm not shopping because of this event. So obviously, while I'm bussing in today, the amount of times I've been able to bus longboard from the park and ride has saved me a significant amount of money this month. I'm pretty happy about it. It saved me like a good 20 quid so far. And it's not even the end of the month yet. I'm living the dream, boy. We had a day of like getting a code thing through test. We only had one issue come out, which was relatively easy to fix. And then we were, Laura sneezed away. And then I was able to start on the next story. I had a little bit of like refining to do and like going back and forth about requirements and stuff, which is always good fun. Started on the next story 2 days early, which is pretty good. So I'm all about that. Otherwise, we have done, well, yeah, we went to that event after, which is like an hour and a bit long session about like what the company's going to be doing and all this kind of stuff. It was actually more interesting than I thought it would be. But yeah, so that was good. And then came back here, literally walk back in, dinner's on the table, eat dinner, get in the car, go to Sainsbury's. We managed to fit it all in one day because Laura needs the car tomorrow and on Wednesday, so we can't really go tomorrow. Got back, sat down, Laura was doing a little bit of work, I watched a couple of YouTube videos, and now I'm heading to bed. And I've discovered that one, I need to start on my daily vlog because I forgot to do it when I said I was actually going to do it because I was doing something else instead. I was making them release notes. What I need to do is get some kind of an upswing going. I need some kind of motivation, some kind of like back into the productive, you know. I don't really know how to do that. I'm in a bit of a rut at the moment. I don't know how to get out of it, so need to figure something out. I feel a bit of a sore throat coming on. That isn't going good. Otherwise, I've just discovered something. I've just like finished a chunk and realised that when you throw a 303 status code on a web project, MVC at the very least redirects and actually calls. I believe it spits back a 303 to the user and then just automatically redirects to what it's supposed to go to, and then calls that as if you never called it. So I was expecting the user to have to make an explicit redirect. They'd have to call it themselves, and the reason I wanted that was because I'm using this redirect in order to make you ask for it in a different way. So if you've asked for a cat and I have a dog stored, you can't access it via the cat endpoint, you have to go through the dog endpoint. But it's polymorphic to a certain extent. You have, in theory, a get animal. So I'm basically trying to do this for code generation purposes. So if a user is using the platform, they are able to automatically generate what type of object they're going to get based on the call that they're doing. They have to explicitly ask for the thing that they've got, which I guess they're doing because I don't let you ask for a generic animal. I could open up an endpoint that says get generic, spit me back whatever it is that's there. But at the moment you have to go through the same route. So maybe now I've thought, I came into the kitchen to vocalise my thought process, and I figured out. I do have slash animal slash thing is. Slash animal is used to save animals and like post them to the server. And then I have slash dog slash cat, etc. in order to actually pull them back out again. If you went down the cat route and actually you were looking for a dog, it would redirect you automatically to dog and then spit you back out. But any caller of the API has to explicitly know what it is that they're looking for ahead of time, which they're able to get the information from because there's a credentials object which will spit out what it is that it's supposed to be. So that's alright. The problem is, if you're trying to hit the API and you don't know what type it is, would you have to do a request? Would you either do a request to a base class, to like a generic one, which was like get me animals, and then it would spit you out the right thing, that would throw a 303 as well, or would you fire a request to access the type, and then the type dictates where you get the thingy information from? So I can feel a sore throat coming. No. Day of the sprint today, so we're demoing and we are trying to get ahead on the next sprint. So that is our plan of attack. I need to do some stuff vis-a-vis deciding whether or not to turn this certain component to like a full-blown view component. But then I feel like we need to migrate a load of logic and therefore unit testing. And that'll be the first time we've done that in Vue, because at the moment it's all just like basic display stuff, no like significant maths or anything. God damn, it's cold. We had a pretty good day today. We had a right good crack at the next user story, and we had a good demo and a good retrospective and all that kind of good stuff. Laura is at netball. I'm not swimming, but I am doing some programming. I am looking into implementing a GraphQL server and using it as a mutation. Sorry, not a mutation, an API gateway. The word mutation in front of me, which is just there as we're looking down how to do GraphQL service-esque stuff. Hopefully I'll be able to get a good crack at this tonight in my obviously morning session. But until then, I've got Google. I will need to make sure I do it right. So I've obviously got I've got nothing to like base this off. I've never done this before, so I don't want to fuck it up, if you know what I mean. Also, I feel like I've got some kind of cut like underneath my hairline here, because it like hurts to. Like if I go like that like hurts sometimes. If I like brush my hair out of the way, I feel like I've either got some kind of spot or cut or something. But Laura can't see anything, so I don't know what it could possibly be. I have some of it set up. I seem to, like, I'm looking at the documentation and all of the like demos, and there's two kind of like forks in the demos. One of them seems to be way more complicated than the other one. So we'll see how it goes. It's going to be interesting. Like I say, this is the first time I've ever played with anything like this, so it's a venture into the dark. It might be the case that I end up just using a bog standard REST API, which isn't the end of the world. I just bubble it out a layer. But I really want this to work. So we're going to play. I need to go about changing the like top brake light. You know, your car, you got your two tail lights, and then the one that's above the boot. I need to go about changing that. And one, I don't know where to find a bulb. Two, don't know how you do it. And every time I Google it, everyone's talking about just the other ones. And I'm like, I just don't think this is that hard a job. But also, no one else has Googled it. I can't find like any helpful YouTube videos. Just how I normally learn how to do those things. It's bedtime. Got a little bit distracted by that bear there. Time, we're going to get up at 2 and we're going to get this GraphQL stuff set up. I've got it so I can communicate via REST. So at the moment, in theory, all I need to do is I need to inject in the information I need to do. But I've got Swagger documentation being automatically generated, and then Swagger documentation being automatically generated by my APIs, which is then being consumed by my GraphQL server, and then being used to offer access to the data stored underneath that. we'll see how it goes. I think it's going to work all right. To be honest with you, it looks pretty good. It just looks like, it looks exactly what I want. It just looks semi-complicated. How to set it up and stuff, because it's kind of meant to sit directly, well, it's not, it's agnostic to, it's interface agnostic, I think they say. Or what is that? Something like that anyway. So it works like sitting right on top of the database. It works sitting on top of a REST API. It works any way you want it to. But it works better right on top of the database. So it's gonna be good fun. We'll see how it goes. Didn't wake up this morning. God damn it! My alarm. You know how I've got an alarm that like lights up before the thingy goes off, so it like tries to gently wake you up in that half an hour. That worked. I woke up in that half an hour. To roll over, so there was 5 minutes left to go. So I turned it. I went to turn it off, and I was lying on my arms, and I couldn't move my arms. So I like kind of like fumbled it off. And then, like, you know when your arms are like literally dead and you're just looking at this arm just like flop about like on the side. So I turned it off and then lay there and I'm like awake and I'm like, okay, you need to like kind of shift and move your arms so you can wake up. And then I woke up at 5 o'clock and my arms were still asleep. I'd gone back into a position where my arms were asleep, and then I woke up again at 6 when Laura's alarm went off, because obviously my alarm was set for 2. So I didn't have a 6 o'clock alarm, so it's a good job Laura did. I'm struggling to stay in this routine, but that was a poor moment of judgment. I must have thought at that time that I was awake enough, because I woke up slowly, awake enough to not fall back to sleep, and I was clearly wrong. Laura said that it was dry enough to take the longboard today, which it is, granted, but also I saw that on the map it was red. It was a red 20 minutes, and it said a similar time to go right, and that was a yellow 20 minutes. And I'm like, I can't see any kind of red on this map. I think I'm going to be alright. Because there is a little bit at the end that's really bad, and that normally, like, makes it red, even though it to be fair, it does take a long time, but I was going to go around it this time. And I'm literally, that was however long ago, however many miles ago, and it still says 20 minutes. Fuck me. Oh god, I just had to text. I've never had to text because I think I'm running late. It's predicting I won't even hit the park and ride till after past. And I'm supposed to be at work at past. I've got the longboard so I can get in without having to wait for a bus. But god damn, is this taking a long time. God damn. And we're officially in the worst of it now as well. This we're in this red chunk. We weren't in the red chunk earlier. So I was hoping it would clear. The assumption would be that there's some kind of accident that everyone's going around, but no one seems to be coming this way. So it doesn't look like we're competing with anyone to go past, except there is a school coming up, which I guess this actual traffic doesn't go, it goes past the school, so it's probably the school that's half the problem, but Jesus Christ, I'm so bored. I'm so bored! I could have longboarded the entire way fast. Something else I've always wondered about. You see these two, wait, let me get my finger in shot. You see these two like little sticks here that stick down? What are they? They're on vans. Nearly all vans have them. And they're just two little things that push down. And I've always wondered what they are. That option I had to go the other way. Should have taken it. Should have taken it when I had. If you're wondering, by the way, as well, I've got my fingerless gloves on because I preemptively put them on so that I didn't have to faff around with them when I got to the park and ride. Well, that was a waste of time. That was literally 25 minutes ago. Almost guarantee, 100% guarantee, we'll pull out. We're coming into the end of the red bit. We'll pull out and there'll be nothing there. There won't be any cause for this. It will just be bad. Guaranteed. There won't be an accident, there won't be a flood, there won't be roadworks. It will just be terrible. When you're on the motorway and you're on the phantom queues, you know, like that, but 20 million times worse. Alright boys, there is a traffic light. There's roadworks, and apparently we're stopping for the grand total of 0 fucking cars coming the other way. Oh, whoa, what? Literally, next to no cars have gone past. So this entire tailback is because of that light, like pausing for cars that aren't there. Half the problem here is one road in, one road out. There's no like side cuts. You can't cut off of this and come a different way. So in fairness, there's a few things coming through now, but they weren't there earlier. Well, there is the end of the queue going the other way, whereas our queue goes back for several miles. I mean, come on, come on now. That literally will by now tail back to Bristol. and there it's like there's a queue of 7 cars going the other way, but they both get equal priority. Bus is just about to pull off, but that's no bother because I've got the ball. Also really desperate for a wee. There's not really much point in these lights, to be honest with you, because it's quite bright. In fact, let's not even put them on. There's no point. Starting to notice that it isn't like pitch black when you're going home now. It's like a nice blue. So even with my light, it's pretty good. We had a pretty bloody good day today. Planning was good. We finished a user story, which we started early, but we've got that all refined. We've made sure we've got everything that we need. That's all good. We had a good planning session. I sent out the email. I don't know if I told you this, but we're generating like an email that's like release notes of what we've done and sent it out, and that's got pretty good like reception, which is good. I'm happy I did it. It was kind of like suggested that we shouldn't do it, but I'm like, fuck that noise, we're doing it. every like sprint end, I'll send out this email to like my manager, the other teams, some of the other developers on all the other teams, and any interested parties, i.e. like BAs and whatnot. Don't turn that light off. That way people can be informed as to what we're doing. We then motored through some user stories, through some tasks on the next story, which is really good. Like, it was just a really like productive day, so I was pretty happy with that. Came home, had some dinner. Laura's gone to play netball. I am going to look at doing my GraphQL thing that I was supposed to do this morning but didn't do because I was asleep. An interesting set of problems, man. I'm trying to just get and maintain all of the clients that I'm going to be using to talk to all my microservices, and obviously I'm going to have different clients. It's really bad to like keep disposing of it, and you end up running out of connections if you have too many things at once. You have one client per connection, so I want to put them in a. Well, I need to put them in a some kind of cache. Because I could have like potentially 5 different ones. They're going to start moving around and all that kind of stuff, and it could disappear off one, so it needs to be a temporary cache. So I'm trying to add these things, these client connections, into a cache, which will store a client for each microservice. If the microservice moves, then the cache will invalidate itself and put it into the another one. It's very interesting. It's very fiddly, but very, very interesting, and things that I need to get sorted before I can even test if it works. Having said that, I think I can use this for GraphQL. This is turning my GraphQL, like when you hit me with a GraphQL query, I then have to hit these clients to access that information. I was about to say that it's reusable, but it actually won't be, because it's just message. I just strip the message if it's just a normal API gateway. I can just change the headers. Yeah, we had problems at work where we had a factory that would basically generate the client and then dispose of it. We had loads of issues that came about doing that, so instead what you do is usually you would create that client in your API layer. It's but when I say client, by the way, it's automatically generated client by auto-rest. So you put that into your dependency injection, just smash it in, fuck it, happy birthday, literally singleton the trucker, and then you're good. Problem is, if you have 5 different ones that all move around and change address and all that fun microservice, service fabric stuff. So yeah, I'm just going about doing that, smashing it into a cache basically. So on first run through, I resolve a URL, build the factory, save the fact I've built it, obviously put that on a timeout so that it will disappear at some point. Yeah, ignore me. So I'll ignore the fact that it's got it, fire a request through to the microservice, bring back the answer. If the microservice isn't there, it will re-resolve an address. Well, in theory, it's resolving the address every single time. So it resolves the address, goes, okay, I've got this address here, get me a client, and it goes, oh cool, I've already seen this one, get it out of the cache, bang. Or it'll go, oh, I've not seen that one before, regenerate the cache. Go, regenerate one, put it in the cache, bang, there you go. So if it ever was to drop down and disappear and move to a different address, we've resolved the address first, we go through that way instead of going the other way around. It's going to be good fun. But yeah, it took me a while to get my head around like how I was going to inject this thing around. Because I've got to have like, I originally just set up a factory, and then I'm like, god damn, now that means I'm going to have a different one each time. The thing's not, it is disposable, but then I was remembered about the problem we had, and also that if I was to dispose of it, say you were supposed to do that, which you're not really, the way that it's being run inside the middleware just like wouldn't play nicely at all. It was a fun problem to solve. Solved it, I've just got to do it. It's bedtime, so I'll go to bed. I'm also waking up. goddamn waking up. Close, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very, very close to getting that thing sorted. The main problem is that half of the APIs are really difficult to test. Like, I've written them, I just need to test them. Because they're all either like sealed classes or extension methods on sealed classes. And then it's just such a... or they're abstract, so you can't create an instance of it, and it's just a pain in the arse. I have a new weather app that gives me like percentage chance of rain, and I thought 20% chance of rain would be too wet for the longboard, and I was wrong. Otherwise, another day of storming productivity, just wall to wall, just churning shit out. We've nearly got our big user story out of the way, our like big one, 8-pointer. To be honest, I think we over-egged it. I think I tried to drag the estimates down a bit, but I think everyone else over-egged it a bit, and we just literally smashed through it. Either that, or we've become very good at doing this thing. We've been adding details, different details, to the same application for a while now, and I think we're just very streamlined at it. We know what we're doing. So that's in. I'm now starting another thing, which is involving some middleware and some redirection, which is good fun. Basically just trying to keep the testers busy, which isn't a problem because they can barely keep up with the amount of stuff we're churning out, because they're just coming in such small chunks. It's just like, bam, there you go, there's new thing. The other team, bang, and it's just literally bam, 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 bam. It's quite good fun. I'm really, really enjoying it. The problem is I plan to talk to you and then forget that I haven't actually talked to you. So I just came in here looking for my camera, because I remember vlogging in here, telling you what was going on, but actually my camera was in there, and I checked the camera and I'm like, I haven't even vlogged. God damn. I have been trying to investigate our brake light, you know, the 3 brake lights. The top one is like half on. It's only half as, it looks like really narrow, it's like a long bar, only half of it's lit up. I tried to like pull it out to see if I could open it, and I was like, ah shit. Pulled it out to see if I could change the bulb or anything like that, and then realised that was quite difficult, so I tried to put it back in. So now it's kind of got a bit of duct tape on it, just to make sure that it's like sealed in properly. It's like in, but I don't want it to like rattle. I don't think it'll rattle loose and fall out, but I don't want it to be like a little bit loose and let water in. I'm gonna have to take that to the garage, I believe. I checked the manual and it's like, contact Renault. Oh, for fuck's sake. But also part of me is like, we're having an MOT at some point, soon. Can I just roll that all into one trip instead of having to do it in thingy? But I think the earliest I can get my MOT is still February, so I think good. Otherwise it's 11:15, it's bedtime. Laura didn't get back till really late, but it's bedtime now. I haven't been able to do my sleeping pattern for any kind of consecutive number of days. Saturday is already going to be a bit of a hard one for me, because we've got plans. But we need to try it. We need to get up. This is productivity, man. That upkick. Actually, this vlog has gone on for long enough, so I'm going to end it here. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you've enjoyed it. I'll catch you later.